Okay, I'm Dr. Dan Miller. We are week 11, Pro Football in America 250. We're looking at head coach George Washington and his team, the Continentals, in the Union Football League, squared off against their arch rival, the British Redcoats, who they have surrounded in the town of Boston. Our folks are encircling them, surrounding them from north to south, a half circle around the outskirts of Boston. We have the front office in Philadelphia at the Continental Congress. We have community ownership of the team, like the Green Bay Packers in modern times. The community ownership of the team up and down the Atlantic coast, each expecting victory in the offing, victory with the arrival of the next news or sports report. So, I'm Dr. Dan Miller, Historical Solutions LLC. It is good to see you. Let's do a quick scan here of where we are on the pro football side of this equation. Mid-November 2025, as we look back to mid-November 250 years ago to 1775 for us right now. It appears, I think, we've got about three teams that are at the top, three or four teams that are really at the top of this whole thing. I think in no particular order, you got to say the Denver Broncos with head coach Sean Payton. You have to say the New England Patriots with head coach Mike Vrabel. I think you need to look at the Los Angeles Rams with head coach Sean McVay. Oh, I suppose we've got to put the Eagles there, but I really don't think I'm going to. I think, honestly, if we're looking at a possible fourth, a possible member of the quartet, rounding it out in a quartet form, and I'm sorry for those of you, okay, don't look at this, but it's going to have to be the Indianapolis Colts. Now, they are the biggest question mark, I think, of this equation, but of these four, and maybe the Seattle Seahawks are there too. With is it Mike McConnell and of course Sean Steichen here in Indianapolis. That 4-5 pairing there, they need to kind of prove out themselves a little bit better. Right now, I'm going to go with those three at the top, and maybe a couple here right knocking on the door that need to kick the door in with a really great performance next time up. So, here's to you. Little Hofbrau action. Let's look. So if that's modern, let's look at the America 250 side of this equation of pro football in America 250 week 11. I think we'll agree that the thing running through the thread, or the thread running through the thing of the top 3, 4, maybe 5 of those teams, there's a few common elements. I think one of those elements is a tremendous coaching right now that's going on, which is just a real art form, I think, to see these days. So I want you to hang on to that, because let's go to George Washington, head coach George Washington. Now we've got the standard stuff. Standard as in you're used to, if you're a veteran of this podcast, you're used to hearing me say this by now. He's trying to put his army together. They haven't fought a major battle under his leadership, under his head coaching tenure. So he's trying to have everybody figure out who we are, get on the same page as to who we are as the football team in the American cause. So we've got more of that's happening this past week, but we've got one big thing that I was just dying to share with you, and I knew from the instant I found it that this was going to be my point for you today on the Washington head coach George Washington side of this equation. He has fired his chief of artillery. Fired him. Get out of here. We're done with you. It's a consensus. And so he has tagged the replacement. Successor is too strong a word. Successor, I don't know about you, but when I hear successor, I start thinking of planned it out, thought it through, lined it up, right? That's a real successor for something. That's not what this is. This is pure replacement. I mean, they're hoping, Washington is hoping this guy works out. The chief of artillery is a very important assistant coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, whatever you want to call him. The chief of artillery is a really big deal here in this. And remember our situation, right? We've got the British surrounded. We pretty much know we're way far away from being able to directly assault them, attack them, storm their fortifications. That's just eons away. What's not eons away is a siege, where you get closer and closer, and the key component to a siege is, number one, having them bottled up, and then number two, having artillery that you can lob in behind their fortifications and just create havoc and create misery and create destruction to the point that they surrender. So, but we have no artillery, none to speak of. And we had a lousy chief in charge of it, a lousy assistant artillery coordinator, ACO or whatever. And so now we've got a replacement, a second guy up. And Washington has found a guy he likes. He's 300 pounds, and in 2025 terms, he'd probably make one hell of a left tackle, protecting that backside of a right-handed throwing or passing quarterback, a Patrick Mahomes, a Daniel Jones, and so on. We all know how important that backside tackle is for a passing quarterback. So Knox has got the physical dimensions for that, weighing in at 300 pounds in 1775, mind you. He's a bookseller by current trade. He's had a bookshop in Boston before it was taken over by the British. He had a bookshop there. He's very well read, very literate, very educated, and very intellectually curious guy. Happily married. I think his wife's name is Lucy, if I remember correctly. And so this is the situation. And as I said, really bright, really bright. And he's taught himself whatever you can teach yourself in 1775. He's taught himself how to be an officer through his reading. He's taught himself some of the mechanics of the artillery craft through his reading and his study. And his reflection. And so Washington says, all right, you're the new guy. You're the new ACO, the new artillery coordinator, chief of artillery, as they called him at the time. And so it turns out, we now know. Now, he doesn't know it then. It's just a good feeling Washington has about this guy. But he's picked a guy who's going to be just fabulous. We look back now, we know this was a key moment when he added this guy to his staff, Knox to his staff, Knox to his core team, his coaching core team. We know it's true now. They didn't know it then. Washington just had an instinct about it. So there's where I want to leave you today. Owners, coaches, players, and fans, leaders of all levels, of all types. What's your record at selecting people to be on your team, selecting people to be key members of your team? What's your track record? Honestly. The other thing is and maybe they're related, I don't know, how confident do you feel in your ability to do that? Washington, as I said, got a gut feel about this guy, about the guy with the gut. It'll prove true. I'll tell you later, it'll prove remarkably true in a way that changes our lives down to today. I'll save that story for later on. But so, yeah, what's your track record? What's your confidence? What are you looking for by this point in your leadership? What are you looking for when you make that selection? Yeah, that person, that man, that woman, that's going to be one of my core team members. That's going to be one of my coordinators on my coaching staff. And maybe the other way we should think about this is flipping it. How do you know when it's time to let somebody go? Washington knew because of charges of incompetence, because of a general loss of confidence in Colonel, I think it's Richard Gridley, Knox's predecessor. It was time for him to go. Gridley hadn't handled the situation well either, had made things worse. It's time for him to go. So where are you on all three things that I've just kind of asked? I'm Dr. Dan Miller. This is week 11. NFL, pro football, and America 250. I look forward to next week. Who knows what we're going to be talking about from the pro football side of it? Who knows what we're going to be talking about from the America 250 side with head coach George Washington. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you soon.